I am always impressed by what you can find in the indie space. This is usually where you get to see more experimental games, along with very fun and faithful throwback titles. And it is even more impressive when you find out that a game was only made by one guy. Herot is one of those games. This throwback first-person shooter both looks and feels like something from the past, and is an absolute joy to play. Herot features a nice arsenal of weapons, very fun shooting, and a good level of polish for an early access title. This is an easy recommendation for anyone who likes first-person shooters. Herot is a first-person shooter and delivers by providing rewarding action. The gun sounds overall seem like they could benefit from stronger sound effects, though some are very weak, like the pistol and SMG really lacking that punch to them. Thankfully the shotgun does sound much better, but I think the sound effects could benefit from having better effects that match the destruction. The impact of your shots helps to do more of the heavy lifting with the mixed sound. Enemies will spray blood and in some cases will even outright blow up. Many of the explosive weapons will cause chunks of enemies to go flying, and this is endlessly entertaining. When it comes to your arsenal, you have a good set of different weapons to use. You start out with a pistol that can be dual wielded, an SMG, a pump and double barrel shotgun, the very satisfying grenade launcher, and a few more. The enemy variety helps to keep the action interesting as well. There's large guys who throw grenades at you, foot soldiers, dogs, shotgunners, sharks, and a few different monsters. Herot likes to gradually introduce new enemies to you to keep you on your toes, and it helps to keep the action continually dynamic as new foes are entered into the arena. Herot is pretty bare bones when it comes to its narrative, which is good because it means you can just focus on the quality action. But what I did like was the atmosphere here. The heavy use of browns and dark lighting created this creepy yet light horror vibe to the visual design. It helped to create an environment where you really never knew what you would come across. Soldiers who wanted to kill you or some type of monsters. At the same time, the game has this odd sense of humor, and this is even seen in the enemy design along with some of the boss fights. For example, a huge horse is a large heavy that you will fight from time to time. It looks a bit ridiculous, and I have no idea if the intention was to have some funny enemies, but these instances oddly work well and gels with the rest of the game. I enjoyed the creativity with the visual design of some of the bosses, from the gorilla with the rocket launchers to the wooden horse with missiles. The bosses themselves are fun to engage with and provide some fun traditional fights with a large health bar to tick down. While much of the levels in episode 1 have the same visual design, the game does a good job of providing new locations to the player. Levels will feature subways, sewers, city streets, a gym, church, catacombs, and a few other areas. Herot not only shows that it understands what makes the shooting enjoyable, being inspired by retro titles, but it also understands what makes those old games enjoyable from a level design standpoint. There are plenty of secrets to find in each of the levels, and some require both exploration and some problem solving to figure them out. For example, in the first area there was a wall in a bathroom that had a marking on it, so I figured it was worth trying to see if that wall could be destroyed. I tried throwing one of my grenades, but they are kind of bouncy, so either the grenade was not close enough or I needed something stronger, so I decided to push an explosive barrel over to the wall and blow it up. This ended up working and allowed me to get the SMG on the first level. Herot's levels are full of this type of stuff, and the game incentivizes you to seek this stuff out. To the game's credit, many of the secrets are well hidden, and that you will not even really find all of them on your first time through the levels, thus providing a good amount of replay value. At the end of each level, it lets you know how many total secrets you found, but the game never handholds the player in finding these secrets. It is all discovered through exploration. Along with this is how this game has some really fun interactive objects. There is a keyboard that is fully interactive, and it's down to the individual keys. Small stuff like this adds up and strengthens the overall game. To go along with this are some drivable vehicles like a motorcycle that can be fun to use, but most of the levels are a bit too small to really make full use of them. Overall, Herot is a really fun game, but there are a few areas that I would suggest to make it even better. Like I mentioned before, the gun sounds could benefit from more powerful ones, or at the very least improve the very weak sounding ones like the pistols and SMGs. I did notice that in the endless mode and in the last level of episode 1, some enemies would just be running into walls. I have two suggestions for the endless mode. One is that I wonder if it's possible to have a 2-player mode for this, as it would greatly increase the replay value. Also, I think adding in customization options for the endless mode would help to keep players coming back to it, like changing locations, your initial loadout, or some other options. Before we move to the conclusion, I want to highlight the soundtrack, as it was very enjoyable to listen to. Here are a few tracks from the game. Herot is a really awesome first-person shooter and shows an impressive amount of talent from a solo developer. This game not only looks like a retro shooter, but through its execution, it shows that it fully understands what made those older games special. And on top of this, it's another good example of an early access game on Steam. The best part about early access is how the developers can continually receive feedback from their player base. And based on the Steam page, this developer is listening and addressing fan feedback. Herot is very enjoyable to play, with rewarding gunplay, fun exploration with secrets to find, and a game that I highly recommend in its state right now. If you are interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you'd like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description, and thank you very much for watching.